As a young impressionable child, I discovered Peter Jackson's The Lord of the Rings trilogy and fell in love. I would watch the films over and over. Because of this, as far back as I can remember, I've always had a soft spot for the Lord of the Rings franchise, as well as the fantasy genre as a whole. And when my little baby self discovered there are things such as the Lord of the Rings licensed video games, I made my first nut. This was the area of the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox, a time where, in my opinion, licensed games were at their peak in terms of quality and creativity. Developers were really going nuts to butts, banger after banger. Battlefront 2, Battle for Bikini Bottom, Spider-Man 2, Hit and Run, that third Harry Potter game, fucking King Kong, that game was even better than the movie. Peter Jackson, what are you?
Wyatt, I am rolling.
So the first title of this sort I was able to get my hands on was this little thing called Lord of the Rings Two Towers. Now you may be thinking, wait, why would you start there? Isn't that the second movie? Well, yeah. Turns out there's a split between the licensing for the games based on Tolkien's books and the games based on the Peter Jackson film trilogy. So The Lord of the Rings The Fellowship of the Ring was a game that was solely based off the books, so it can legally have Tom Bombadil in it, and Aragorn looks like this, I guess, and it came out between the first and the second movie. So the Two Towers game is based off the films, and deceptively actually covers all of the events from both the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers movies, and it came out 2 months before the Two Towers movie was even in theaters. And it even had scenes from the movie in it with transitions into the game that were awful, but my god am I glad they exist.
You have my sword.
Oh, they did my boy dirty with that model.
And my axe.
Oh, that's not Ghibli! That's not Ghibli! What a weird, wacky timeline we are living in. I'll come back to the Fellowship game and all the book stuff later, don't worry about it. The Two Towers is a pretty cool hack and slash. In the tutorial you play as Isildur for like 5 minutes, then you play as Aragorn for like 5 more minutes in this level that is much darker than it needs to be. Then for the rest of the game, you have a choice to play as either Aragorn, Legolas, or Gimli. After each level, you spend the XP you got on upgrades and new combos. Out of our 3 playable goons, Gimli is a bit better at melee, Legolas is the bow guy, and Aragorn is decent all around. The first real mission is the Path to Moria, where you slap some goblins that make really funny noises.
Quickly, this way.
For the time, this is all pretty graphically impressive. This game closely follows the aesthetics of the movies and even has the original soundtrack. Can we get a thank you, Hans Zimmer, in the chat? God dang. First mission ends with the Watcher as a boss fight. After you slap his tentacles and shoot him in the eyeball, party ends up in Moria. You don't get to roam around a real Moria level like in some other games I'll be talking about later, but you do get to fight in Balin's tomb, and fight a troll that's voiced by a horse. After this, you go through Aman-Hen and fight some weird-looking Uruk-hai. You have to kill a bunch of these goons in a certain time frame, which isn't that bad, but if you don't use the parry, you'll get knocked over, stuck here, and then they kill Elijah Wood. There's another boss fight here, and it's kind of garbage. The camera angles are really weird and stretchy, and getting this dude to get his stupid sword stuck in these pillars so you can hit him is a whole ass hassle, especially if you're a little 4-year-old playing this game and you can barely read, let alone puzzle solve. Sometimes, I do be feeling like this PNG of Boromir. We're now about halfway through the game, and the Two Towers part is just getting started. Now you're in Fangorn's prison, and there's a bunch of trolls, and this pit from Bloodborne.
Oh shit!
My favorite part of this level is when you get ambushed by this goofy orc when he falls through a log. Also when you get ambushed by this troll.
Surprise, motherfucker!
I guess I should have used the killing move button. After this, you do a few missions in Rohan. For the remainder of the game, most of the enemies you'll fight will be these armored Uruk-hai, and they can take some decent damage before staying down.
This is no rabble of mindless orcs. These are Uruk-hai. Their armor is thick and their shields broad.
I hated this one as a kid because I encountered this bug where Gandalf just would not break the store, and so my progress was barred until I reset. Fuck you, wizard! The red barrels from first-person shooters are introduced for some ungodly reason, and you fight this warg boss. It's pretty mid. Finale of this game is a set of levels in Helm's Deep, which is as cool as it sounds. Right off the bat, you have to defend this wall by kicking down the ladders the big bad goblins come from, and there's lots of combat. This level's tough to manage with all the moving pieces, but it's probably the most fun because of it. Then there's this cutscene that plays that looks way better than all the other ones for some reason.
Hey! Get off the wall!
Next one is super simple. You defend this door from these guys, and these guys, and this guy, and all of these guys. The last boss fight in this game is a catapult. In the final mission, you defend an even bigger door, and it's pretty fun. This area looks off though, just like that boss fight I mentioned before. Like the background is stretched against the camera angles, but whatever. There's a bonus character and a bonus level you unlock afterwards that gives you cheat codes, which is chef's kiss, and just not something you see in video games anymore. And that's it for Two Towers. Pretty good and very short. You can beat this game 4 times in 8 hours if you wanted to. But what if I told you you didn't have to play it 4 times? Because they made a sequel that you can play instead. What? That's right, you teenage dirtbag. You guessed it right. It's Return of the King for the fucking GameCube. This one only covers 1 movie, but still managed to have a whole lot more meat to the sandwich. If Two Towers is the White Castle slider, this game is the Big Mac. You got 3 storylines. One where you play as Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli. One with Gandalf. And one with Gollum and friends. The game opens up with the theme song from Requiem for a Dream. The title screen actually has the song, which is a great piece, but it's still the theme from Requiem for a Dream, which feels very weird here.
So what are we gonna do now?
Ass to ass.
If you feel like being very sad and uncomfy, go watch that movie. And maybe Girl with a Dragon Tattoo as well. Anyways, this game opens up with Gandalf riding in to save the day in another movie clip to in-game animation transition moment. Then you do Gandalf shit on the ground, and Gandalf shit on the wall, and Gandalf shit on the ground again, and then the mission's over. If you continue the Gandalf storyline, you chase the Uruk-hai back through Fangorn Forest and all the way to Isengard, where you blast ass with your
Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile! Magic missile!
There's some really great scenery and this cool fighting arena with the Ents. I think this part's really funny.
Defend the towers!
Next up, you defend this tree man while he breaks that damn dam. And with that, the mission ends. The following zone, on the walls of Minas Tirith, is almost the same as the Helm's Deep level from the Two Towers, but the ladders are now comedically wide, and there's some siege towers and wyverns to shoot down this time. This ends with a very cool cinematic.
Don't let them in!
This leads right into the Court of Minas Tirith level, where you defend the Gondorian cheerleading team from exit campers and trolls that die in one hit if you cheese them with a spear. And that's it for what this game deems the path of the wizard, as we move on to the path of the Hobbit. In this questline, you play as one of the Goonies, fighting through the battle in Osgiliath with Gollum, and Gollum also looks really funny in this game. Just putting that out there, figured I'd share it with you, here he is. There's a scene with the bell. Next up, you go down some ladders, and you stay in cover so the Nazgul don't catch you, and then you do some more ladder shit. This level ends with a sewer zone, because of course it does. This game came out in 2003. Every game had sewer levels back then. The mini-boss is cheese with throwing daggers, and that's that. Now if you have arachnophobia, or have a deep fear of the 1990 classic comedy horror film Arachnophobia, then it's time for you to avert your eyes, because these 8-legged freaks are all that's in the next level. This level's very good. The camera will sometimes try to lure you into a trap by being skewed just a little bit in a suggestive direction. So if you have your brain turned off, as one might while playing an action game, holding the joystick forward is going to put you in some sticky situations. This level has a lot of environmental manipulation opportunities, which is really nice because Sam is the weakest to the combat in the game. It's also a little comical, and if you couldn't tell from the video so far, I love myself some goofing. Also, there's these little spiders that block your path unless you use torches to clear a way through. This is in Uncharted as well, and it works in the exact same way. I don't know where this came from, it might have been in another game before, like Tomb Raider or whatever, but it fits so well in this level and adds some cool puzzle mechanics that are unique to this zone, and I love it. This also has the best boss fight thus far, and it starts right after Sam walks in on Shelob and Frodo doing some freak shit. This fight's nice because it's not too gimmicky like the other boss fights I covered. It moves back and forth between regular combat with a boss and a few waves of the spiders you fought before. Every time you do a certain amount of damage, it plays a small cinematic of Sam causing visible damage to the boss. After you chop off this leg, the spider freaks out and runs some laps. Up until the very end, Sam is also just yelling at the boss. It is great.
Come on, you fool! You'll not touch him again! That's right! I wish your children, and I aim to get you too, no matter what your size. I'm gonna chop you and gut you until you let him go! You can't stop me! Come on, finish it! Come on, you and me! One last fight for Mr. Frodo! Come back, you! I'm not done!
Frodo gets captured by some orcs, which segues us onto the next chapter. Frodo's being kept at the top of Cirith Ungol, where orcs and urks are infighting. You use some environmental set pieces to wipe out groups of orc, and these are just as good, if not better, than the ones in the spider level. You reach the top and see some orcs going at it.
You scumbag!
Then you have this boss fight against an orc with 1 billion health. I cheesed him by standing next to this pile of infinitely spawning javelins, and saved our dear Mr. Frodo. Another urk snags his shirt and Usain bolts his way out of there. Moving on. The final questline in this game brings us back to our Two Towers roots, with your choice of characters being Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli, all of which have vastly improved character models. That's Gimli! The first level is set in the spooky, scary skeletal crypt. Throughout this area you fight a bunch of bone goons. And there's this bridge area that looks really cool.
This is where the dead gather. It is a place of great evil.
No matter the peril, we must cross this!
And there's a boss fight with this guy. This ends with you backtracking through the level all the way to the beginning where you and the gang escape. The following mission is great because there are no enemies with shields. It kicks off with this troll doing some sick nosedive off the half-pipe right before you one-shot him with a spear. You then use this catapult that conveniently gives you a path to the top.
That will do it!
You get to fight a Mumakil from the top of this tower, which is super fun. Then you boil some orc and ride off into the sunset with your buddies. After this is the Pelennor Fields level, although it's more of a Pelennor Trench level. It's pretty simple though. You kill 60 enemies down here, then you kill a Mumakil up here, cross the map, kill 2 more Mumakil over here, and then you shoot down the Witch King. The next mission's my favorite, and it's the fight at the Black Gate. I used to replay this one a ton as a kid. It opens up with this boss fight against the Mouth of Sauron, and Aragorn gets a reskin exclusive to this level. I know the cinematic looks a little dated, and that the orc army does go through the gate while it's opening, but I think this still looks really cool, and is pretty epic in scale for 2003.
We have drawn his army to the Black Gates. For ourselves there is no hope. This is our final act to give Frodo time to end this evil that marshals before us.
This level is a marathon of combat, and even though there's max like 30 dudes in the arena at any given time, it feels like a huge battle. You have to kill waves of orc and Easterling and make sure your friends don't die, which is harder than it looks. Gimli, you feeble fuck! Once you beat the first objective, the Nazgûl show up, and it's awesome, unlike the first fight with them in the Two Towers. Their death animation is also perfect. After this, there's only one more level, and it's the only one where you play as Frodo. It's a boss fight against Gollum in Mount Doom. I also encountered this glitch while recording gameplay where there's no texture on these rocks.
Your time is at an end.
You do this 6 times and send Gollum down with the ring. And that's all for the main story. You unlock 3 new bonus characters and can now replay any level with any character. There's also a wave-based bonus level that's pretty challenging, and if you beat that, you get another wave-based level that's nearly impossible. To this day, I've never gotten past round 17. Before we move on to the... I want to show you this bonus scene you unlock for playing the game that features the actors of Frodo, Pippin, and Merry. I shiver every time they say gamer.
Well, Elijah's a pretty good gamer.
The best player would be Elijah.
Well, this is where I get to pat myself in the back. I'm definitely a better gamer than the two of them.
Yes!
Elijah has this insane ability of being able to just grab hold of a console and go through a game.
I've actually made the controller float, and without touching anything, I've managed to play the game. It's only happened a few times, but...
I've only been seriously gaming now for probably 3 or 4 years.
And he's doing very well, but I'm still a much more experienced gamer.
But I'm getting there. I can beat Elijah at a few games now.
I am certainly a lot better than Dom.
Fuck!
Dom, who, you know, talks a good game.
Oh, look at me go, I'm on fire now.
He says, I'm getting so good at this game. I says, okay, give us it. Beat him 3 times in a row.
Billy's getting better, but he's not great.
Billy is awful. One of the worst game players of all time.
I think I do have a special gift for gaming.
You'll be playing a 2-player game and you'll go, Billy, press X, and he'll be like, hang on a minute, wait, which one's X?
But I just haven't really opened that gift yet and given it to myself.
Nice balls. You will have to just come.
Yes!